Hello, and welcome back. In today's lesson, we're going to help you keep a conversation going in English.
And this time, we're doing it with a topic that is personal, meaningful, and very natural in real conversation: dreams and goals.
And this kind of topic is perfect for practicing longer answers, follow-up questions, and natural reactions.
So today, we're not only talking about dreams and goals, we're also showing you how to build a real conversation in English.
But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
It helps more learners practice English in a natural, real-life way.
So if you enjoy practical English lessons like this, make sure you subscribe and stay with us.
First, listen to our dialogue.
Then we'll come back and explain the key phrases step by step.
Let's get started.
Hi, it's such a nice day for a walk, isn't it? The park feels very calm today.
Yes, it really does. I think this is one of the best places for a conversation like this. When you're walking outside, it somehow feels easier to talk about bigger things.
I know exactly what you mean. Some topics need a bit of space around them, and dreams and goals definitely feel like that kind of topic.
That sounds interesting already. So that's what we're talking about today?
Yes, dreams, goals, and how to talk about them naturally in English.
I like that. It's such an important topic because almost everyone has dreams, even if they don't always talk about them openly.
That's very true. Sometimes people have big dreams, sometimes smaller ones, sometimes very clear goals, and sometimes just a feeling that they want something to change.
And I think that's what makes this topic so natural. It's personal, but also something almost everyone can relate to.
All right then, let me start with a simple question. When you hear the words dreams and goals, do they feel the same to you or a little different?
I think they feel a little different. To me, a dream is usually something bigger, something that inspires you, maybe even something you've imagined for a long time. A goal feels a bit more practical, something you can plan, work towards, and break into steps.
That's a really good distinction. So a dream is more like a vision, and a goal is more like a plan.
Yes, exactly. A dream can be quite emotional and wide, while a goal usually feels more specific.
That makes a lot of sense. So do you usually think more about dreams or more about goals?
To be honest, probably goals. I like dreams too, of course, but I think I naturally focus more on things I can actually move towards in a practical way.
That sounds very realistic. What kind of goals do you usually set for yourself?
Usually a mix of personal and practical goals. Sometimes they're work-related, like learning a skill or improving something I already do. Other times they're more personal, like creating a better routine, becoming more consistent, or making more time for things that matter.
That sounds very balanced. So your goals are not only about success in the obvious sense.
No, not really. I think when people hear the word goal, they sometimes imagine something huge and dramatic, but a goal can also be quiet and personal. It can be about becoming calmer, healthier, more organized, or more confident.
I really like that. It makes the topic feel much more human. So what's a goal you're working on at the moment?
At the moment, one of my main goals is to become more consistent. Not in a perfect way, but in a steady way. I think consistency changes a lot of things, even more than motivation sometimes.
That's such a good point. Why do you think consistency matters more than motivation?
Because motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired and full of energy, and other days you don't. But if you build habits and keep showing up even on ordinary days, you make real progress.
That makes complete sense. So for you, progress is more about regular small steps than about one big dramatic effort.
Exactly. I think that's how most real change happens.
That's a really natural and thoughtful answer. What about bigger dreams? Is there something you've always wanted to do, even if it still feels far away?
Yes, definitely. I think one of my bigger dreams is to build a life that feels meaningful and calm at the same time. Not just busy or successful on the outside, but actually good to live from the inside.
That's beautifully said, and that's such a deep answer because it's not about one object or one job title. It's about the kind of life you want.
Exactly. I think when I was younger, I imagined dreams in terms of achievements. Now, I still care about achievement, of course, but I think more about the overall shape of life, too.
That's really interesting. So your idea of success has changed over time.
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of people go through that. At one point, success means doing more, achieving more, proving more. Later, it can mean living more honestly, more peacefully, or more in line with what actually matters to you.
That's such a strong point. Do you think people sometimes chase goals that aren't really their own?
Yes, absolutely. I think that happens more often than people admit. Sometimes we absorb ideas of success from other people, family, social media, culture, friends, and only later realize that some of those goals don't really fit us.
That's very true. So, how do you know if a goal is really yours?
That's a difficult question, but I think one sign is this. When a goal is really yours, it still matters even when nobody's watching. It still feels meaningful privately, not just impressive publicly.
That's such a good answer. So, it's not only about appearance, it's about inner truth, too.
Exactly. If a goal only matters because it looks good from the outside, I think it eventually starts to feel empty.
That makes a lot of sense. What about fear? Do you think fear stops people from following their dreams?
Yes, definitely. Fear stops a lot of people, and not always because they're lazy or weak. Sometimes people are simply afraid of failing, wasting time, being judged, or choosing the wrong direction.
That's very real. And I think another fear is the fear of starting badly.
Yes, absolutely. People often want to start well, but most things begin in a messy, uncertain way. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you may wait forever.
That is such an important point. So, what do you think helps people move forward anyway?
I think it helps to make things smaller. Instead of saying, I need to change my whole life, say, what is one real step I can take this week? Small steps feel possible, and possible things are easier to begin.
That's such useful language, too. What is one real step I can take this week?
Yes, because dreams can feel huge, but goals become more real when you break them down.
That reminds me, do you usually write your goals or do you keep them in your head?
A bit of both, to be honest. I think about things privately first, but when something becomes important enough, I like writing it down. It makes it feel clearer and more serious somehow.
That makes sense. Writing often helps people organize their thoughts. Do you ever change your goals, or do you feel once you choose something, you should stick to it?
No, I definitely think goals can change, and sometimes they should. I don't think changing direction is always a sign of failure. Sometimes it's a sign that you've learned more about yourself.
I completely agree. That's such a healthy way to think about it. So, changing your mind is not always weakness, sometimes it's growth.
Exactly. People change, life changes, and what made sense 2 years ago may not make sense now.
That sounds very true. What about you? Do you think of yourself as someone with clear goals?
I think so, but I'm curious about your answer too. Are you more of a dream person or a goal person?
I think I'm a bit of both. I do have dreams, things I imagine, hope for, and care about deeply, but I also like turning them into something practical. Otherwise, they stay too far away.
That sounds like a good balance. So, what kind of dreams matter most to you?
For me, meaningful dreams are usually connected to creativity, growth, and connection. I like the idea of building something real, something useful, something that helps people, but I also want that life to feel warm and human, not just productive.
That's really interesting. So, for you, meaning matters as much as achievement.
Yes, definitely. I don't want success that feels empty. I want work and effort to connect to something real.
That's such a strong answer. What goal are you working on right now?
One of my current goals is to become more focused. I think attention is one of the most valuable things we have now, and it's also one of the easiest things to lose. So I'm trying to protect my focus more and use it better.
That's very relatable. How are you trying to do that?
Mostly by simplifying things, doing fewer things at once, planning a little more clearly, and giving more full attention to one thing instead of half attention to five things.
That sounds very wise and probably not easy.
No, not always, but I think many good goals are simple to understand and difficult to practice.
That's very true. Do you think it's important to tell other people about your goals, or do you prefer keeping them private?
It depends on the goal. Some things grow better in private at first. If I talk too early, the idea can feel too exposed before it's strong enough. But sometimes sharing a goal with the right person helps, especially if that person encourages you or keeps you accountable.
That makes complete sense. So again, it depends on the goal and the person.
Absolutely. Not every dream needs to be announced immediately.
That's such a useful phrase, too.
Yes, and it's true. Some things need quiet before they need attention.
I really like that. Do you think people put too much pressure on themselves to have a big dream all the time?
Yes, I do. I think sometimes people feel behind if they don't have one huge, clear dream. But life doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you're in a season of building, sometimes in a season of rest, sometimes in a season of searching.
That's such a comforting way to say it. So not knowing exactly what you want right now doesn't mean something is wrong.
Exactly. Sometimes clarity comes while you're living, trying, and learning, not before.
That's a really important point. I think many people wait for perfect clarity before they move, but often movement creates clarity.
Yes, exactly. You understand more by doing than by overthinking forever.
That sounds very true. So if someone asked you, what is one dream you still have? What would you say?
I'd say one of my dreams is to keep growing without losing warmth. To keep learning, building, and improving, but still stay connected to people, meaning, and real life.
That's beautiful, and it feels very grounded, too.
Thank you. What about you? What is one dream you still have?
I think one dream I still have is to create a life where my time, work, and energy feel more aligned. A life where what I do every day supports the kind of person I want to become.
That's such a strong answer. And again, it's not only about doing more, it's about living in a way that feels right.
I think that matters more and more with time.
This is such a good conversation topic because we started with one simple question, and now we've talked about dreams, goals, motivation, fear, change, clarity, private goals, and growth.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of this lesson. A conversation grows when you stay curious, ask connected questions, and react to what the other person actually says.
Yes, you don't need perfect English to have a meaningful conversation. You just need interest, honesty, and a few good follow-up questions.
And this topic is especially good for that, because almost everyone has something real to say about it.
Okay, now let's look at the key phrases from the dialogue and see how to keep a conversation going in English.
Yes, because this lesson is not only about dreams and goals, it's really about conversation habits.
We started with, do dreams and goals feel the same to you or a little different? That's a very good open question because it invites thought, not just a short answer.
And other good questions for this topic are, what kind of goals do you usually set for yourself? What's a goal you're working on at the moment? Is there something you've always wanted to do? Do you write your goals down? Do you think goals can change over time?
Exactly. Open questions help people say more. After someone answers, stay with the topic and ask something connected. For example, why do you think consistency matters more than motivation? Or, so your idea of success has changed over time? How do you know if a goal is really yours? What helps people move forward anyway?
These follow-up questions make the conversation deeper and more natural.
Exactly. Good conversation needs reactions too. Useful reactions from this lesson. That makes a lot of sense. That's a really good distinction. That sounds very true. I completely agree. That's such a good point. That's very relatable. That's beautifully said.
These phrases make the conversation feel human, not mechanical.
That's true. Don't stop too quickly. Instead of saying, I have goals, say, I usually set a mix of personal and practical goals, like becoming more consistent, improving a skill, or creating a better routine.
That gives the other person much more to respond to.
Exactly. Useful conversation phrases from this lesson. To me, to be honest, I think, I'd say, a bit of both. That reminds me, It depends. At the moment, one of my goals is, I've always wanted to. What helps people move forward? I completely agree.
These phrases are useful in many topics, not only this one.
Let's quickly review some useful words. Dream, goal, motivation, consistency, habit, progress, clarity, direction, growth, fear, support, routine.
And some very useful phrases. Work towards something. Break something into steps. Keep showing up. Move forward. Change direction. Write goals down. Work on yourself. Stay true to yourself. Protect your focus. Keep growing.
Exactly. Those phrases sound very natural. Here's a short example. Do you have any goals right now?
Yes, I do. One of my goals is to become more consistent.
Really? Why does that matter to you?
Because I think small, regular actions create real progress.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you write your goals down?
Sometimes, yes, especially when they become important.
So, as you can see, keeping a conversation going in English is not about difficult grammar.
It's about asking open questions, reacting naturally, and adding a little more detail.
Exactly. And when you stay with one meaningful topic and explore it properly, the conversation becomes much easier.
And if you enjoy lessons like this, don't forget to subscribe.
It really helps the channel grow and reach more people.
And it helps more learners practice real, natural English.
So subscribe, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Bye!